Donald Trump continues to deny the facts. He continues to deny the science. He withdrew the United States from the Paris Climate Accords and rolled back critical environmental protections.
Leonardo DiCaprio just shook the internet, and Trump is fuming. In a rare Instagram video, he torched Trump's climate policies, calling him a threat to the planet. Millions watched in hours, and Trump's team scrambled to hit back. Leonardo DiCaprio has never been one to stay silent on climate issues, but his latest Instagram video took things to a whole new level. He made it crystal clear where he stands, and it's safe to say his message hit like a lightning bolt. In the video, DiCaprio spoke passionately about the urgent need to tackle climate change, pointing to recent extreme weather events as proof that the crisis is spiraling out of control. And instead of focusing on that, Trump is making policies to make it worse by eliminating controls over the oil and gas industry.
Now he's promised the oil and gas industry that he'll get rid of any regulation they want in exchange for $1 billion donation.
And to top it all off, Trump is calling climate change a hoax.
All of this with the global warming and a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay? It's a hoax.
Leonardo specifically mentioned Hurricanes Helene and Milton, two of the strongest Atlantic storms ever recorded, which recently left a trail of destruction across Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Homes were wiped out, businesses were destroyed, and entire communities were left to pick up the pieces. And according to DiCaprio, this isn't just bad luck. This is climate change in action. DiCaprio didn't hold back. Climate change is killing the Earth and ruining our economy, he said. We need a bold step forward to save our economy, our planet, and ourselves. Those words sent shockwaves across social media. It's not every day that one of Hollywood's biggest stars directly endorses a candidate while also slamming their opponent's environmental policies.
Climate change is killing the Earth and ruining our economy. We need a bold step forward to save our economy, our planet, and ourselves.
What makes this endorsement even more significant is how rare it is to see DiCaprio post something like this on Instagram. He has a massive following, 61 million people to be exact, but he's not the type to flood his feed with constant updates. His last major video post on Instagram was nearly a year ago. When he does speak, people listen. And judging by the reaction, this video is making a serious impact. Within just 4 hours, it had already racked up close to 2 million views, with that number climbing fast. Comments poured in from supporters praising his willingness to use his platform for good, while critics, including Trump supporters, fired back with their usual attacks on Hollywood's involvement in politics. The message DiCaprio is pushing is clear. Climate change isn't just about melting glaciers and rising sea levels. It's an economic issue, a safety issue, and a crisis that affects every single person. He emphasized that under Harris's leadership, the United States has made major progress in addressing the climate emergency, citing her role in passing the Inflation Reduction Act, which laid out ambitious goals for achieving net zero emissions by 2050. Leonardo DiCaprio speaking out about climate change isn't surprising. He's been one of Hollywood's most vocal advocates for environmental protection for years.
Every week we're seeing new and undeniable climate events, evidence that accelerated climate change is here right now. Droughts are intensifying, our oceans are acidifying, with methane plumes rising up from the ocean floor. We are seeing extreme weather events.
But what makes this moment different is that he isn't just talking about the issue. He's taking direct aim at Donald Trump and making it clear that Trump as president is a turning point for the planet. In the past, DiCaprio has supported Democratic candidates, but he's usually stayed behind the scenes. He hosted a fundraiser for Joe Biden during the 2020 election, but didn't go out of his way to make a personal endorsement video. This time, he's stepping into the spotlight, speaking directly to his 61 million Instagram followers. What makes this even more significant is how rare it is for DiCaprio to post anything personal on social media. Unlike many celebrities who frequently share their opinions on politics, he tends to focus on the bigger picture, sharing documentaries, climate studies, and updates on conservation efforts. That's why his decision to post a direct endorsement of Kamala Harris is making waves. It's not just another celebrity jumping into the political conversation. It's someone who is deeply respected in the environmental movement, making a clear and urgent call to action. He isn't just saying who he's voting for, he's explaining why, using real-world disasters like Hurricanes Helene and Milton as proof that climate change isn't some abstract future problem, it's happening right now. One of the most powerful parts of his message is how he directly calls out Trump's record on climate issues. DiCaprio reminded everyone that Trump pulled the United States out of the Paris Climate Agreement, a global pact aimed at reducing carbon emissions and slowing the effects of climate change. That decision put the US at odds with nearly every other country in the world and signaled that the government was no longer interested in addressing the climate crisis. But Trump didn't stop there. He also rolled back dozens of environmental protections, allowing corporations, especially in the oil and gas industries, to operate with fewer restrictions. DiCaprio pointed out that Trump openly promised oil executives that he would eliminate even more regulations in exchange for a $1 billion campaign donation. This wasn't speculation, it was caught on tape. Donald Trump does not like being called out, especially by someone as influential as Leonardo DiCaprio. The moment DiCaprio's video started gaining traction, it was only a matter of time before Trump fired back. And sure enough, he did, loudly and aggressively. During a rally, Trump went on a full-blown rant, calling DiCaprio's endorsement of Kamala Harris Hollywood fear-mongering at its worst. He dismissed climate change as nothing more than a scare tactic, accusing Democrats of using it to control businesses and raise taxes. It was classic Trump, loud, inflammatory, and completely dismissive of the issue at hand. Instead of addressing DiCaprio's actual concerns, he deflected, attacking Harris and Hollywood rather than engaging in a real discussion about climate change. He painted DiCaprio as another out-of-touch celebrity trying to tell ordinary Americans how to live their lives. His message to his supporters was clear: ignore the liberal elite and stick with him because, according to Trump, he's the only one who can keep the economy strong. Trump wasn't the only one who had something to say. His allies quickly jumped in to add fuel to the fire. J.D. Vance, one of Trump's strongest supporters in the Senate, went even further, telling voters that the best thing they could do was to send Kamala back to San Francisco where she belongs. His words echoed the usual anti-California rhetoric that Trump and his base often push, using it as a way to frame Harris as disconnected from the rest of the country. Others in Trump's circle also took shots at DiCaprio, calling him a hypocrite for advocating for climate change action while flying on private jets. The goal was obvious: discredit DiCaprio and Harris without actually addressing the substance of their arguments. The reaction from Trump and his supporters only proves one thing: DiCaprio's message hit a nerve. If his video was meaningless, if his endorsement didn't matter, Trump wouldn't have felt the need to respond so aggressively. But the truth is, celebrities do have influence, and millions of people are paying attention to what DiCaprio is saying. The fact that his Instagram video gained almost 2 million views in just a few hours shows that people care about this issue. Whether or not they agree with him, they are at least listening, and that's what scares Trump.
Earlier this month, Hurricanes Helene and Milton devastated parts of Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Families lost homes, livelihoods, and loved ones to some of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes ever recorded.
Trump's history on climate change has been controversial from the start. He has repeatedly dismissed the science, calling climate change a hoax invented by China.
The president has tweeted climate change skepticism at least 115 times, including a claim that the concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese. So the president has very firmly established his position on the issue and has shown no indication that he's changed that position. But since the president's views tend to be malleable, let's say,
he pulled the United States out of the Paris Climate Agreement, rolled back dozens of environmental protections, and has openly aligned himself with the fossil fuel industry. His administration made it easier for oil and gas companies to drill on public land, weaken clean air and water regulations, and even tried to bring back coal as a major energy source. These decisions weren't just bad for the planet, they were bad for public health, contributing to higher pollution levels and putting communities at risk. Leonardo DiCaprio isn't the only Hollywood star stepping into the political arena. Beyoncé has a long history of supporting Democratic candidates, and her influence, especially in Texas. With millions of fans who follow her every move, an endorsement from Beyoncé isn't just a statement, it's a cultural event. Robert De Niro has also been making headlines for his outspoken opposition to Donald Trump. The legendary actor has never been shy about his political views, but this year he's taken an even more active role. De Niro didn't hold back in his speech, making it clear that he believes the future of American democracy is at stake. His passion for politics has turned him into one of Trump's most vocal critics. Kerry Washington has been using her voice differently, attending events and speaking directly to people. She recently joined local leaders in Pennsylvania to emphasize the power of voting. Washington has always been politically active, and her ability to connect with people. Celebrity endorsements have always been a part of American politics, but in today's world of social media, they carry even more weight. In the past, stars would appear in TV ads or on talk shows to promote their candidate. But now, with Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, they can reach millions of people instantly. A single post from someone like DiCaprio or Beyoncé can be seen by more people in a few hours than a traditional campaign ad would in weeks. That's why politicians actively seek celebrity support. It's not just about the endorsement itself, but about the visibility and engagement it creates. Studies have shown that young voters are heavily influenced by social media and pop culture, which means when their favorite artist or actor speaks out, they listen. Many younger voters feel disconnected from politics, but when someone they admire takes a stand, it can motivate them to take action. Celebrities can make politics feel more personal, and that's exactly what Harris's campaign is hoping for with these high-profile endorsements. This is about the future of the planet. The choices being made today will determine whether the next generation inherits a world that is still livable, or one that is plagued by extreme weather, rising sea levels, and worsening natural disasters. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It's happening right now, and the policies put in place by the next administration will decide whether the country takes serious action or allows the crisis to spiral even further out of control. That's why Leonardo DiCaprio's message isn't just about endorsing Kamala Harris. It's about making people understand.
She helped lead the most significant climate action in U.S. history, including passing the Inflation Reduction Act. Under her leadership, we set ambitious targets for achieving net zero emissions by 2050 and building a green economy that not only creates jobs, but also helps save our planet.
Harris has already played a significant role in pushing forward major climate policies. As vice president, she helped pass the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the most ambitious climate law in U.S. history. This law sets the country on a path to reach net zero emissions by 2050, meaning that the amount of greenhouse gases being emitted would be balanced out by efforts to remove carbon from the atmosphere. It's a huge step towards slowing down global warming and transitioning to a greener economy. The law also includes incentives for clean energy development, electric vehicles, and infrastructure improvements that will make the country less dependent on fossil fuels. These aren't just environmental policies. They're economic policies that create jobs and push the U.S. toward becoming a global leader in renewable energy. Trump, on the other hand, has made it clear that he plans to do the exact opposite. During his first term, he withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement, rolled back dozens of environmental protections, and gave the fossil fuel industry free rein to expand its operations with fewer regulations. He has openly promised oil executives that if they donate to his campaign, he will get rid of any restrictions they don't like. His administration weakened clean water and air standards, making it easier for corporations to pollute without consequences. If he wins another term, he has vowed to dismantle even more climate policies, allowing companies to drill, mine, and burn fossil fuels at will. That would be a disaster for the environment and could undo years of progress in the fight against climate change. Sitting on the sidelines means allowing policies that accelerate climate change to continue unchecked. Extreme weather events like Hurricanes Helene and Milton are becoming more frequent and more destructive. Wildfires are getting worse. Heat waves are breaking records every summer. These aren't coincidences, they are direct consequences of a warming planet. Scientists have been warning about this for decades, and the evidence is undeniable. Ignoring climate change doesn't make it go away, it only makes the damage worse. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.